any part in the decision to delay that mobilization, to go slow in building up for this and getting ready?
No, no, not at all. I've said right from the very beginning, and you know me by now, I wouldn't let the politics interfere with it at all. I would do what I thought needed to be done. I do think that you have to be cautious. You don't want to be provocative. We tried very, very hard not to be provocative. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, I did not expect it to break out that quickly. I've been involved in this is not the first riot I've been involved in. I was deeply involved in the 1965 riots, and 66 and 67, and I've watched them in their development. And this one, quite frankly, went much faster and in a much broader scope than any of the ones that I've looked at in the past.
Just so that we clear up this question, you were not suggesting that any political figures were trying to direct the way in which the police department was responding in this matter, are you?
Well, I'm just asking a question. There were comments in the community the day before about inflaming the situation. I'm asking if the chief held back intentionally on the mobilization effort because of those concerns, the politics of that moment.
And I'm saying I wouldn't listen to it anyway.
And there wasn't any that I'm aware of, and if you know of some, I wanted you to bring it up.
Mayor Bradley, were you aware of any of the contingency planning for yesterday? Had you consulted with the police? Were you involved at all in prior planning for what might happen?
No, about 3 weeks ago, inquired what their contingency plans were at the time of the verdict in the Rodney King case, and they just gave me an overview for what they planned to do, and we didn't get into specifics. I was satisfied that they were aware, they were anticipating various possibilities.
Why do you think this happened? Going on, we are having looting. If you look over here, we're showing some aerial videos here. We've seen looting, we've seen more fires. Chief, what do you think it's going to take to bring the situation under control?
I'm not sure what you're pointing at.
Well, we have a television monitor over here on the Channel 2 News, and all morning we've had reporters out. There's been looting reported in different parts of the city, continued looting, new fires that are continually breaking out this morning. And my question is, what do you think it's going to take to bring the situation under control? Here is another fire. What is the location of this fire? I'm going to check with our group right now. What is the location of this fire?
Well, it's going to require some patience on the part of everyone and a great number of police officers, law enforcement people deployed in the area, and we are doing that. The National Guard will be deployed as quickly as we can. We have available to us, or will have available to us very shortly, about 850 National Guard. We're in the process of designing missions for the National Guard, and once they are in place, we will put them to work on those missions.
May I make an observation? Because I'm told that there's some city employees who are under the impression that they are not to come to work today. Let me make it clear to all of them. If you don't come to work, you don't get paid. Nobody is being excused today.
Why do you think this happened? Why did this violence break out? What is your analysis?
You don't want to know, do you?
We want to know.
Well, quite frankly, I think, there's been an awful lot of rhetoric about this, a lot of discussion over a long period of time. A lot of tensions have been developed over this past year. And I think that there's an awful lot of people out there that just simply use any opportunity to go to the streets. And I think that what we saw out there last night were not the good people of South Central Los Angeles at all. We were seeing a lot of young people, a lot of gang members, a lot of drunks, a lot of people who will use any any excuse whatsoever to do this kind of thing. As I went up, I was telling the mayor, I went to some of the places that were being looted, just me and my driver, and I have a very familiar face, and Some people don't like me in that area, and quite frankly, they looked at me and said, "Hi, Chief," and kept going right in, doing what they were doing. Their intent was to go in and steal and loot, and that's what they were doing.
Mayor Bradley, do you think this was all about Rodney King, or was it something else?
I think there was a great deal of anger throughout this community, indeed throughout the world. We had calls from all over the world. So there was no question about people being angry, frustrated, shocked, stunned. But I believe that the bulk of the people who were engaged in the vandalism, the arson, the shootings, were simply suspects who were taking advantage of an opportunity. They knew what was being felt in the community and chose it as a means for them to steal, to loot, to burn, and that is the point of my message. It's one thing to express your anger at the verdict. It's quite another thing to go out and physically destroy property of others or to assault or harm them. And we're not going to tolerate that.
Chief Gates, last night you went to a fundraiser for the anti-Prop F campaign right in the window of time, 7:15 to 7:45, when this was really taking off. Was that an appropriate, she was not canceled, was that an appropriate place for the Chief of Police to be? And did that in any way inhibit the response to mobilization? Were you out of the loop there for some period of time?
You were there, you know, I stayed a very, very short period of time, and I was on the way out ordering up what needed to be done, and not a great deal had broken out at that time. When I went, it was earlier than that. Your recollection's pretty poor.
Chief, a lot of people we've interviewed who have deplored the violence have said, nevertheless, that what happened yesterday in Simi Valley was a jury gave the green light for the police to beat people, specifically black people. Is that what happened in Simi Valley?
You know, I'm not going to get into that trial at all. I've said that I'm not going to get into the verdict. I'm not going to comment on that verdict, and I'm not going to comment on that verdict. I will tell you this, that the police department has only a rule that says you will only use that force which is reasonable and necessary. That's what we train our officers to do. That's what we expect our officers to do. That's what we hold our officers accountable to do. And I'm not getting into that verdict at all. I think we need to accept the fact that the verdict came in, and if we are a nation of laws, we will accept that and go from there.
Thank you all three will be in the city council.
And so the three officials.